Welcome to Prompt Me Podcast, where we interview creatives and ask them to leave you with a prompt for your own creations. It's such an honor to have Pilar Pobil as our guest today. At 93 years old, Pilar has been recognized as one of Utah's most influential artists, as well as being knighted by the King of Spain. We are especially honored to call her a friend, one who we have traveled with and who sat beside us in Italy watching a television on 9/11 as towers fell. We recorded this before our current world situation and before the recent passing of her son, for which we offer our deepest condolences. Pilar's story, artistic process, and life are a testament that people can live through both hard and beautiful things. We hope you enjoy her story. Before we jump to the creative process, which I'm really excited to hear about that from you. But before that, why don't you, because you have such a wonderful and interesting history, do you mind just giving a little
No, of course not.
background on where you're from and how you ended up here and how you ended up doing art in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in Madrid, in Spain, because my father at the time was in the Ministry of the Navy in Madrid. But my grandmother in Mallorca had 79 grandchildren, and I was the only one that had not been born in Mallorca. So I always had a nickname, La Forastera, the foreigner.
The foreigner.
That's good.
Among my cousins and people.
Did you say 79?
79 grandchildren.
79.
My grandmother was a very wonderful lady that I loved her very much, She was Marquesa de la Torre. And this woman had she was pregnant 19 times and had 16 children alive. Not all lived long to get married, but 12 or 13 of them did. And then she had 79 grandchildren. And she was really a well-known woman in the whole island. Everybody liked her, and she was, every night she had people coming to visit to her salon, it was just a wonderful person. And she died in 1936, at the same time of the war. And this is sort of part of the story. So my childhood was actually quite wonderful, I had, had the greatest father. My mother was a very good person, but she was not an ideal mother to me because she was too old-fashioned, and she wanted her daughters not to do anything and sit home or go to a convent. And that was her feelings always for my older sisters and for me. And my older sisters allow her to treat them that way, but I became a rebel since I was a very young child. And I spent a lot of time on my childhood in Sombida, which was a big country house in Mallorca that was my grandmother's. And there I could do exactly as I wanted. So it was wonderful times in my life. And then in 1936, it became the war, started the civil war in Spain. My father at that time was already an admiral in the Spanish Navy. Actually, he was the youngest admiral in Spain. And we were in the naval base of the Balearic Islands, in the other island, Menorca, in Mahon. And I remember when my first feeling of the start of the war was when I was staying there. And one day I was in the garden, and the garden was over the base, over the offices of my father, and you could see the harbor and the island across the harbor, the city of Maon. And I was lying there doing nothing and looking down, and my father came out of his office and started talking to the sailors. And they were listening to him, and then it was a group that came and they started yelling and screaming and everything. And my father continued talking, and then everything calmed down, you know. And that was the beginning of the Civil War. And very soon, one day when I was also in the garden, I saw my father. He was in a sort of a pergola, in a place that surrounded by glass. And he was sitting in a chair with an open book in his lap that he was not reading. And in front of him there was a man with a machine gun. And I wanted to go in, and the guy would not let me go in. So I was knocking in the glass, and I went like that with my hand, and my father responded, and that was the last time I saw my father. So that was, because pretty soon they I don't know, I don't remember this well how it happened, but I know that we were thrown out of the Admiral House. And the first memory was that we were in a little house of the mayordomo, who is the headmaster of the service, a very good person. He took us to his house. And then there was also a laundry woman. They were the two that protected us. And then we had to hide in an attic, and it was the whole city was falling apart, you know, with shootings in the streets and even from the windows. We couldn't open the windows in the attic because they were shooting to you if you open a window. And even from there, I remember seeing people throwing things in the middle of the square. There was a church, and they were taking things from the church and throwing them in the middle of the square and burning everything, you know. So we had to escape from there too, you know.
How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you?
I was 9.
9.
So I remember very well. And we had to escape. And the first time that we tried to escape at night, we were in a boat, but they made us come out. They found us, made us come out. And they killed a friend of my mother that was with us. She was also escaping. And they killed her in front of us because they said she had some papers hidden in her body. And they left it in the rocks. And so we returned to hide. And then the next time, I don't remember when was that we escaped, but we did, and this time we succeeded. And we went to Barcelona. In that time, you couldn't communicate by telephone or by cars or letters. There was nothing. So we were trying to go to Alicante to see in the mainland, in the peninsula, and to see if my father, brother, and sister were still there, because we couldn't go to Mallorca, which was much closer, because they were in different parts of the Civil War. And so we finally made it to Alicante, and they were still there, and we had to escape from there again in a very difficult way in the middle of the night, you know, out of the harbor and out in the middle of the sea. And then we got in a boat in the middle of the sea. And then we went to Portugal. We had to escape to Portugal. And, you know, look, what happens in a civil war is that you don't know who, many times, you don't know who your friends or your enemies, you know, because everybody's together, you know, even in the same families. And for instance, one thing that is interesting is my first cousin, who I like very much. She was much older than I was. She had a son a little younger than I was. But she was married to the brother of Franco, Nicolas Franco. So it was is an interesting thing. And later in the story, I could tell you, I went to visit them in Portugal because she was, Nicolas Franco was the Spanish ambassador in Portugal. And she invited me to go to visit them, you know. So I went and there when I was about 18 or 19.
Okay.
And it was kind of, at that time in Portugal, in a city close to Lisbon that is called Estoril, there was a lot of people that had to escape from their countries, not just from Spain, but there was kings, Umberto from Italy and King Carol from Romania and all the speakers, and they all were there. It was a very interesting thing to be for a while in there and meet all these people that were there.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very long story, and you cannot tell everything.
I didn't realize that. I haven't heard this story from you before, so I'm kind of taking that all in. That's
And so then,
a
of
lot.
course, I lived in Mallorca, and as I was saying, my mother thought women were not supposed to do anything. And when my father was alive, he already knew from when I was very little that I was an artist, you know. I was always doing sketches and painting things, and every time he went on a trip, he brought me brushes and paints, and then he asked me what I had done in his absence, and I always had things to show him, you know. And so this was what was going on since I was 4 years old or something like that. I was very premature. I also learned to read by myself as a surprise to people. They didn't know. They thought I was making up stories. And then my father put me in his knees and realized that I was reading.
That's awesome.
And so I had a very early start with things, with books and with art. And but then when my father died, my mother just didn't want anything like that. Just a convent school, and then either stay home or go to a convent. Get married, stay home, or go to a convent. And she preferred for us not to get married, even just stay home.
Stay home with her.
So it was impossible to be a good girl to her. Everything that I did, I had to hide, and I had to lie, and I lied so much you couldn't believe it. And I had two aunts that helped me and invited me to their house when there was a dance, so I could go to the dance. But because dancing was for my mother was a capital sin, you know. She was telling me, if you let a man put his hand around your waist, you and I are going to go to hell. You, because you are committing a sin, a mortal sin. And I, because I am too weak to stop you.
Wow.
So I just had the responsibility of her going to hell too.
Yeah. That's a good parent trick to say.
Wow. That's hard. It's hard enough to keep yourself doing what you feel like is right, let alone feel like you're going to send someone else.
So the result was, I thought, if anyway I'm going to hell, I might as well have a
fun.
good time.
Exactly.
And she did not let you do your art either.
No,
then.
because she didn't think everything, like any career, whatever, it was for men, not for women. Women at home or in a convent. You know, this woman was another role in life. And of course, this is totally an absurd thing, you know. You're not going to have to put up with that. So I always did that. And actually, when I was about 12 or 13, I was 13, I made money with my art. The first time I made money with my art.
Really?
And it was because at that time, they were starting to be greeting cards in Spain, you know. And so I did greeting cards by hand.
Okay.
And then I took them to bookstores or to places for tourists and things like that.
Yeah.
And I sold them for peanuts, for cents, you know. But they always wanted more. And I painted them with Mallorquin peasants dancing and things like that, or flowers, and they wanted them. So then with that, I could paint brushes and paints and stuff.
Yeah. So, and you did this and your mother never knew? You
No,
were
because
selling
I
your
was
artwork
I was
and
hiding all the
hiding
time.
it all.
And besides, I had nightmares, I have to say, after the war and when my father was killed, you know, I every night when I was sleeping, I would start screaming in bed.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted to sleep with him in my room. So this was, in a way, a terrible thing, but it was lucky because nobody was in my bedroom. And I had the best hiding places for everything that I didn't want to show. And nobody.
So did you, when you would wake up with these nightmares, did you get up and do your art in the middle of the night then?
No.
Okay.
I do usually, I probably didn't wake up. I scream a few times and then continue to sleep, you know. No, I never did in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did you do your art? Did you?
Well, I did my art in my room many times and hiding it, you know. And as I said, and my aunts were helping me to, you know, people were giving me things, you know. Mm-hmm. Her two younger sisters, they were very nice to me because they knew her. And so it was difficult, but at the same was exciting. And then one thing that also was happening very much, my aunts and some friends had places in other parts of the island, and they would invite me to go and spend time with them. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of friends like that, and I was friends with their children and everything. So there I could also do whatever I wanted. Yeah. So when I was 12 and 13 and all this, that is the best places where I could do work, and I could do landscapes in Mallorca, you know. Right. And then, you know, it became easier for me to know exactly how to hide and how to do things, you know. Yeah. And I did it all the time that I was with her. And also because I wanted to emancipate, this is one of the reasons that I went, without my mother knowing it, I started learning English.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I learned English and mechanographia and tachygraphia, you know, shorthand. Yeah. And because I thought I was going to emancipate as soon as it was legal, you know. But I never did because then I met my husband and yeah.
So how old were you when you met your husband?
Well, I was 23. Okay. And it was just about the time when I probably could have gone and lived with Mother in my own. But I was 23 and we married when I was 25. Okay. Yeah. And then I came to...
And he was in Spain?
He was in Spain, yeah. With his sister. It was by chance that we met. He and his sister, he had been wounded in the Second World War, and he had been a long time in the hospital, and he was still recovering. But besides that, he had some money that the military were giving him. So he and his sister were going on a long trip all over Europe, you know. And when the winter came, they were in Barcelona, and Walter decided to go and check Mallorca. And he loved it so much that convinced his sister to come and stay there because they were going to stay a whole year or so, Yeah. And they rented a house next to mine. And I was friends with the person that owned the house. And it was not a rental house, but they were going to be away for a while and they wanted somebody to stay there. And so she didn't speak English and she called me over the fence asking me if I could help her to tell my husband where the things for the electricity were working and the thing and all these details that the house has. So I went and I translated everything she wanted and then I went home. And then one day when he was already living there, he called me up, asked me over the fence. She said, I see that you go for walks all the time. Could I go with you one day? I would like to see this area. And I said, yes, that's when we started. And I impressed him very much that time. And I didn't tell him why. We went through the hills and it was a beautiful area. Now it's more developed. It's not quite as pretty as it was before, but there were streams and pine woods and olive trees and everything. It's still beautiful, but not quite as perfect. Yeah. And we went all the way up to a monastery on the top. And then we, instead of coming back to our area, we went to the other side and we went to Palma. And we, at that time of the evening, which 6:30 or 7, the custom there was, and I suppose it is to go and have a drink of sherry and almonds and olives in a bar and decide where you are going to go to dinner, Yeah. And so we went there to one of these places. And when we were sitting there having the sherry, I asked him, and where are you from in the United States? And he said, I am from Utah. And I said, oh, the city of the Great Salt Lake. And I said, are you a Mormon? He said, no, but my family is. And he couldn't figure out. He said to me, I have been all over Europe and nobody knew where Utah was, hadn't heard of Salt Lake City or the Mormons, because that is a long time ago. Now people know. And how did you know? And I never told him why. I wanted to leave him intrigued, The reason I know is because I have always loved to read. Yes. And I was reading Zane Grey. You know what?
Zane Grey?
I don't think I know
I don't know that.
Zane Grey is another author. Zane Grey was American from the United States. And then another one, James Oliver Curwood. He was Canadian. And these two were writers of the West. Like, for instance, Zane Grey especially wrote about Utah and Idaho and Colorado and all these places in Utah, and of course about Mormons, and about the Mormons' colonies. Oh, and I also asked him, are you a Mormon? When she said, no, but my family is. And I said, polygamist?
What did he say?
He was shocked.
He
said in the old times, his family, they had been polygamous. But not for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
I'm sure he was very impressed because I know even now when I travel, people don't know where Utah is. And oftentimes I meet people in Europe and they say, where is that? Is it in the middle or on the coast? So I bet he was just completely.
But this has been my passion all my life. I have loved to read always. And so it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it sounds like at that moment you two knew you were meant for each other.
What did your mother think?
Actually, that day I knew that we were going to get married.
Yeah, on that day you did.
And I had a boyfriend before that. It was kind of off and on.
Yeah.
But that time I decided that I was going to be.
Yeah.
That was good. Did your mother approve of Walter?
Well, my mother didn't approve of anything, but I think she was kind of glad to get rid of me. No more problems.
That's funny.
And I always went back to visit them and everything. I don't even know how many times I went back and forth from Spain to the United States or to Spain,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did Walter think of your artwork? Was he encouraging?
Oh, Walter loved that I did that work,
Yeah.
and when I got married and had children, and I was not doing quite as much, but I was doing all those things like decorating the mirrors and painting small things to give at Christmas time and bottles and things, whatever, but I was busy with the house, so I was not working every day at art. So he started giving me oil paints and brushes for Christmas and for my birthday and everything, and pushing me. You should do more. You should do more. So I started when my oldest child was about 14 or so. Then I started again to paint, and do sculptures also. Which I had done when I was little. When we were in the country house with my grandmother, when they were cleaning ponds, they would take the mud from the bottom, and pile it up until they clean it later. And we would go there and make mud figures.
Mm-hmm. Little sculptures.
And there was a woman there that the wife of the house of the bookkeeper. She was a person that was making pots and of earth, and fire them. So when she saw some of the things that we had done, she would fire them for us.
Oh, nice.
Small figures for Christmas, something like that. And then I painted them. And so that's when I started. And so then I also started to make sculptures here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, painting or sculpting, or are they
No,
kind of
just
equal?
what is in my mind at the moment,
Yeah.
That's good.
But, whatever comes to me.
Yeah.
Sculptures take more time because when you work with clay, you have to let them dry to a point and then do something
And then
and
do the bisque
wait,
firing and then the painting.
In a painting, you can spend hours painting and then next morning again, Yeah.
So did you start your family in Utah then? Or
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 That's
My husband wanted he would love Spain and love Mallorca. And he would have liked to have some business there, and had started something already. But buying things for American ships that were in the Mediterranean or in that area. But at that time, Franco didn't allow foreign people to have business in Spain. And so he couldn't live without having something to do, a job. So we came here. And then the next time I went to visit Spain, which was very, very soon, a year or two after I was married, Franco had changed his mind.
Oh.
But it was too late.
You were already settled.
You're here. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
And I'm glad I'm here,
Yeah.
I
We are
have
too.
enjoyed being
We are too. Yeah.
I have enjoyed being here in Utah. And,
I hope so. You've been here a long time now.
yeah. So 2/3 of my life have
Yeah.
been in here in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lucky you don't have a Utah accent yet.
Huh?
You don't have a Utah accent yet, which is good. You've managed to keep that away.
I suppose I still have a Spanish accent.
Just barely.
But I mean, this is what I think. I think English and Spanish have become as easy to me to write or to speak And I know that I am not speaking as well, but it is very easy for me to speak English.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 2/3 of your life.
Yeah.
So, so back to your art. So do you have, you've obviously just created art your whole life, whether it was the clay or sneaking
Yes.
and doing paintings and things. So once you settled in and, decided to start really working more in your art, do you have like a ritual or do you have that you do before, or do you have, talk us through how a piece comes to be?
Well, one thing that I think it explains the fact that I do so many different things in art is that because I never study art, I don't have any rules,
Yeah.
When you go to an academy, they tell you, I'm sure, things like, oh, you shouldn't mix these two colors, or it is not good to put these tones together, or anything. No, I don't have a clue of these things, So I have always done exactly what came to me at the moment in my mind. And I like that. I enjoy the freedom of that. And so it if you are an artist and you like art, there's everything that you see inspires you. One thing sometime and another thing. Maybe the way the light hits some mountain at that moment, and then you see other things. And or whatever happens. I mean, and I love to paint. I had done a lot of painting in southern Utah when I was younger and driving, or still when I go with friends in Idaho, in northern Utah. I like everywhere. And I think the difficult thing is not to be inspired. It's not to be inspired.
Right.
Because you see too many things that you want
Yeah.
to do. And I don't have any problem with that. Depending on my surroundings is what the painting is going to happen, at the moment. But also I think that many times you think you have an idea about a painting, some thoughts or something that you hear about people talking that will give you an idea to do a painting. And you have that idea and you start a painting. And then the painting takes over. And the painting tells you what you have to do to the painting. So the painting is not exactly many times. I mean, if I am painting a landscape and I want to do a landscape, that I will do that. But when it is a painting, a composition, or something a little more free, when you have started to paint the painting and you put some color, and then the painting tells you what to do, and at the end, it is not exactly what you thought you were going to paint. It could become very different, and it is.
Right.
So, and I think this is what I like about that. It's interesting. You always you can create the unexpected.
It
because
takes you on a little journey.
just let yourself go, not to follow rules. Just go.
Yeah, I know you, a lot of your paintings, well, I've been with you when we've been out in Italy painting. So I know that, sometimes you paint the place you're at. And I also know that you paint a lot from memory. You've painted a lot of things that. And then you also paint a message. You have a lot of paintings that are a message that you feel strongly about.
Yeah. This last year I did a painting of the woman. Instead of painting the knights of the round table, I paint the women of the dames of the round table.
The dames of the round.
Because I am for women's rights, and I think women have to demand to be equal in the world, and we are working on that. And I think still there's more to do always, but I am always a political person, and I also do paintings that express my views in politics. And my views are that in this world, every human being deserves the same treatment, good treatment, whether they are men or women, whether they are poor or wealthy, that we shouldn't just avoid helping people, and people that need help, they need to be as important as anybody else,
Right.
Yeah. So this is my theory, and I think as an artist, you can do a lot for that. And I am admired that many artists are doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a way of putting your voice out there.
Yeah. And also I'm glad that now, and this is more and more is happening in the schools, that they are encouraging children to try art. It doesn't mean that all of them are going to become artists, or are they going to be doing that as a way of living, But I think it is wonderful to show them how creative they can be if they put their mind to it, And I think this is a very good thing that is happening now.
Yes,
And
I agree.
And then there are many things that are good that are happening now, and I have to say that there are some very bad things that are happening now.
This is true.
And if I am going to say this because it's the truth, I am resentful of some things that happen, because during my youth, I had to be under the Franco regime for many years, where you had to hide what you were thinking, where you could not express yourself to somebody for fear that they could denounce you.
Right.
And you had to be, it was a sort of not living your entire life free. You were always concerned. And this was during my youth. And now in my old age, I had to live under Trump. And I think this is not fair. So anything that I haven't said?
Well, I wanted to ask too, going back to, obviously you can create anywhere. We've been with you, like we say, in other countries. But like when you're home, which we'll talk about how beautiful your home is later, or before. And do you have, I've been to, you have like that little painting room out back. You used to paint mostly in there, right? Or do you have like a space that you're like, this is my space, I love to create right in this room, or does it not really matter?
Well, I paint there often, sometimes it gets too full. And then if I am in a hurry, I paint in the kitchen. It's because I have too many things. And because I am always having, I try to be organized and to put, I sell a lot of work, but I also store a lot of them, and then show them at other times. And I try to organize them. But then I have a lot of shows, and I also have shows in my house. So for instance, this last winter, I had at least 3 or 4 shows in a different place. And so we take the paintings, and then people help me to bring them in. They go in, they don't go organize and put in place where they belong. So your place gets disaster again. The places with art is just full of art.
Yes, I understand.
And then you cannot paint there sometimes.
Yes.
But it's nice when I can. And for instance, I don't do sculptures ever inside the house because it's too messy,
Right.
So you always do the sculpting out in the studio.
in the studio.
Yeah.
But paint is, especially if if I don't want to reorganize and I want to paint, I do some small paintings in my house. If they are big, I have to go to the studio in general. Unless I am doing a painting of the living room, which then I do it in the living room. I put something. I live alone, and like in Spanish, we say in Spanish, hago lo que me da la gana. I do what I want at the moment. If I feel like I need to paint right there, I'm going to paint right there, and then I'll clean up.
That's the important part.
Do you do some sort of creative? Do you paint or sculpt every day, or
No, not every day. But for instance, because I have so many other things
You
that I
are
have to
very
do.
busy.
And for instance, in the summer, even when I am alone, I don't paint every day because I also do the garden, and I love to do the garden.
Your garden is a work of art. That truly is another expression of your
it's amazing.
artistic abilities there.
Well, my son the other day said something to a friend that he is, how children are with their mothers. They don't, especially boys, they don't say things too nice sometimes. She told this friend, I had a party in the garden with all the lights and everything, and it was beautiful in the evening. And my friend said, "This is such a great garden." And my son said, "Yes, this is one of the most beautiful artworks of my mother."
Yeah.
Oh,
And
nice.
she never had told me this, and my friend told me, and it made me very happy.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's definitely true. That is.
And actually, he helped me because he's the one that built the pergolas that I have there. He does a very good job of that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you don't every day, but
No.
like
But every
you
day
said
I
that-
think.
Yeah, which that is part of it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I think, and when you are an artist, it is a total job, a day job all the time, because you don't even think about it, but you see,
Yeah.
and you keep these impressions,
Yeah.
and then they come out at the opportune moment, and it is, and I also it was in the 80s or that I started painting the frames too. On my paintings.
Yes.
And that is an idea that I thought I had because sometimes the painting wanted still more.
Yeah.
And so the frame completes it,
Yeah.
Right.
It's a sort of an expression of the painting into the frame.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
is that how your house, because you not only do you paint your paintings in the frame, but then it extends and you've painted your walls and your doors and your chairs.
Well,
how did that all come to be?
Well, some people say that I paint everything, and it's not true. I don't paint things that are beautiful or antique,
Yeah.
things that I appreciate very much, like pieces of furniture. Never would paint that. But when I had something, my house was pretty much a disaster when we bought it.
Really?
It's a very nice house, but it was very neglected and bumped around and very bad. So there were things that were impossible to restore to their primitive beauty, like some doors that were all like in the kitchen. There's one that is an old door, and I painted it because that was impossible to return to the former beauty.
Yeah.
But so I paint things like, for instance, in the stairway, there was something that had been painted white, and it was ugly.
Yeah.
So, and I did these things when I already had children, and my husband and I had been thinking, should we sand all the wood here that have been painted white and that we didn't like, fireplaces and all these things. But then we were afraid of the lead dust,
Oh, yes.
Right.
So instead of doing that, then I decided to, and my husband was happy with that,
Yeah.
And and they all had kind of a meaning, like most of the decorations in the living room is the flower of the artichoke, which is something that is the feeling of Mallorca.
Yeah.
It is in the olden times in Mallorca they decorated very much with this motif.
Okay.
The leaf and flowers of the artichokes.
Okay.
And so I do that. It reminds me of Mallorca,
Yeah.
And I made them in different ways, Some have flowers and some are not. They're just the leaves.
Yeah.
So these things in the fireplaces and in places. And then, for instance, downstairs in the basement, that basement is my creation. It was a disaster. And I made it look good. Now it's a third floor. It's not just a basement.
Yeah.
And so I put many colors there because I thought it was dark and basement. So I let myself go in there. And many of the doors and everything, they were new, plain, ugly doors. These modern things that are really cheap and awful.
Yeah.
So I painted them,
Yeah.
And this way they are different,
Yeah.
Very.
The one toward the bathroom, I painted it with a mermaid because she goes to the water.
Yes.
And things like that.
Yeah. It's amazing to walk around your house.
It's such a work of art, all of it. Well, so what was the first thing you painted on the house? Was it the white?
In the house, it was, apart from paintings of mine, doing paintings, yeah, it was the stairway.
The stairway. Okay, so that was the first thing, and then you just
And
kept
that
going.
poster.
Okay.
Because, when we move into this house, what is the living room? The living room was much smaller.
Okay.
It was a very small room with a fireplace, but it had a porch that was going around. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I, and that was the first year. We only have been in the house 2 months when we started the project. I had a baby, and then we started the project, and we did it ourselves. We put that post in the corner, and we consult with people that knew how to build. A friend of ours that was an architect. We didn't do it just in a crazy way. We wanted to make it safe.
Yeah.
And we consulted with them, and then we tore the walls into the porch and built another one separating the entrance. And this is why our living room has these kind of strange shapes.
Yeah.
Because it was just a different thing.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
2 months into it, and you were already turning it
Yeah.
into a work of art.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we did the kitchen. Somebody had lowered the ceiling on the kitchen to make it look modern.
Yeah.
And they had put these very ugly cabinets that you can buy right to some place and they send them to you.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do a kitchen that looked like an Spanish kitchen, a Mallorquin
Right.
kitchen.
It does.
Yeah.
That it does.
It does. We will make sure when we air this to post
And,
photos.
And I wanted to put the tile, and it was almost impossible to find tile at that time in
Oh, really?
in Utah,
Yeah.
I didn't want plain tile. They had white tile, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And so I started looking and looking, and this is the first time that I found a tile, and it's Italian tile. It's not Spanish, but it's beautiful, and I still like it.
Yes, it is beautiful.
And then they started to bring tile. They have better taste in Utah than they had years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to be modern, and they were using this early American furniture that was so ugly. So
Yep.
all the antique things were cheap
Yeah.
because nobody wanted them anymore. So I bought some,
Yeah. Smart.
and I have enjoyed my house very much.
So, well, and
I still
also, we should mention that your house, there's the Pilar Pobil Legacy Foundation.
Yes.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, this started, actually, people started talking about this many years ago. They thought that this house should stay because, for instance, in Spain and in many other cities, in many other places in Europe, they have certain things that have been kept from the past. But here in Salt Lake, Salt Lake is a beautiful city, but in the streets are plain, And thank goodness you can see the mountains. And I hope we don't cover them too much with big, huge buildings. They shouldn't, But Salt Lake doesn't have many interesting buildings or things. Mm-hmm. But in Salt Lake, for instance, in Mallorca, there's a little town in the mountains. It's called Petra. And in that town, there's a little house that has been kept for hundreds of years. And you know who lived there? Junípero Serra. And Junípero Serra is the man that founded San Francisco.
Oh.
And
they've kept his house.
And the house is a stone house with just 2 rooms or something like that. But it's been kept because it's a historical thing.
Right.
And they do these things in Spain, and they do that in other places. In Mexico, they do a lot of this stuff too. And it makes the city a little more interesting. Mm-hmm. And my friends, they thought that it would be a good thing to keep my house. But because I have children, I cannot donate the house,
Right.
because that is their inheritance. So they decided to do the foundation and try to keep it for the future.
I love that because
Yeah, it's great.
your house, as we've said, is a work of art. It is,
Well, it's a
There's
house.
nothing
living,
like it in the
breathing.
whole state, for
There's
sure.
nothing else like it. It's just
It's,
a work of art.
it expresses the fact that people can live in a place and convert it in something that is like art.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they're raising money to turn it into.
And so it's already a foundation. It has been a foundation for about 8 or 10 years, 8 years,
So before we wrap this up, is there anything else that
Well,
you want to tell us?
I will tell you something that I just thought about now. And it is that people ask me, how can I live at 93 years old? I was 93 last week. And still do art and be very busy with my garden and work as hard. And I have to say, I work as hard now as I ever had before or more. Because I have art and then I have interviews and this and the other. And they ask me, how come you can do this when you are old? And I always say, because I approach things with a sense of humor. Don't be sorry for yourself. Do what you can hopefully it will be things that you like. Sometimes you have to do something that you don't want to, but accept it because this is life, you know. But the main thing is to approach life with a sense of humor and not to worry about the things that you cannot change, you know. Just face them.
I also love what you say about how what you can do today, you can do again tomorrow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's the thing, you know. Unless, and I mean, it's not that I don't understand people with problems. I'm lucky that I haven't had health problems. And I don't say this, that people that have a health problem, they probably cannot do what they did yesterday, perhaps they cannot do it tomorrow. And I understand this. I don't put them down for that. But if you don't happen to have that problem, don't make your problem.
Right.
Don't make it up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
That's good. People come up with their own reasons to not do things and block themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that say, I hear them all the time, a lot of people, 25 years younger than I am. He said, I used to do this thing, but I am getting old and I'm not going to do this anymore. Why?
Yeah.
You know, you're alive. Yeah. You know, to me, this is the main thing. Just push yourself, not push yourself down. Push yourself up.
That's good. That's really good.
So, in wrapping up, we like to ask our guests to leave a prompt. So, you are so inspiring in that you create sculptures and paintings and gardens and architecture in your house and all these things. And so, if you were to leave a word or a phrase or a prompt for our guests to go out and create something, what would that be?
I would say dare.
Dare. That's a
good one.
That is a really good one. Dare.
Dare. Yeah.
It just came to me.
I
good.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So
That's perfect. Thanks again for listening. Be sure to check out the show notes where we have links to both Pilar's art and her foundation, including a virtual tour of her house and garden that are truly incredible. We're also giving away a print of Pilar's painting entitled The Dames of the Round Table on June 1st. So be sure to create something, take a picture, post it, and hashtag it PromptMePodcast for a chance to win. Thanks again.